that wrong?
No, I'm 20. Yeah.
You're 20. Okay, cool. And dropped out of college to do this full time. And we'll get in your background a little bit, but it's gonna be really good. Sebastian's helping 40 families a month already. I write about 40, 50 apps a month, and really has no extensive experience in this. Given that he's only 20 years old, he could have only had an insurance license for 2 years. That's the absolute longest. So we'll get to that in a minute. Sammy, go ahead to the next one. All right, announcement. So this week, we just finished actually the first week of the Rising Stars competition. It'll be for the entire month of September. And what we're gonna do, Sebastian, we just did a little leadership retreat for like the top 15 people out in Colorado last week. I think everyone had a good time. You can say, or you can lie and say everyone did have a good time, but I'm pretty sure everyone had fun doing it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do something similar again out in Colorado. We're gonna have everyone who helps at least 30 families will be invited. Anyone over 60 will pay for their travel, and then anyone who's an agency manager, if your team helps at least 100 families, you'll be invited to do a 2 or 3 day event, and we'll have exact specifics to y'all before the end of the month. But you definitely want to be there. Sebastian, do you have any feedback on how the first one went? Kind of the first test run at this went?
Dude, it was awesome. It was just meeting a bunch of dudes because I'm from Michigan. You guys are Colorado. I know we had some dudes in Ohio too. Just everyone coming together like that. I got so much input. There was so much that I couldn't even kind of gather it. And obviously we had a lot of fun there too. No, I took some money from you guys in poker. I know you're not going to admit it, but no, it was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sebastian won 1 out of 7 games at poker, but he's the World Series of Poker champion now. So
yeah, right.
All right, Sammy, you can hit the next one. We don't want to embarrass you in front of everybody. This is our submit numbers for the week. For everyone, for our agencies, one thing we started doing is my staff was pulling all the numbers, just so everyone knows. We're pulling them all, and then we don't have time to do that because we have a lot of things we need to do too. So we're having every different group pull their numbers. So if yours are wrong on there, please get with whoever pulls your numbers and make sure that they're correct and make sure they're given over to us. But this is what we have for the week. So top 20 agents on 12 families helped. Yvette 12, Paul Smith 12, Brittany Jarrett 13, Michael H 14, Chris S 15, Jennifer L 15, Brian T 15, John S 16, Calvin Wright 17, Francis 17, Miranda 19. Miranda just hit Hall of Fame already like a couple weeks ago, so congrats, Miranda. Chris 19, Caesar 21, Kevin 28, Brett 46, Sharon 47, Jacob 54, Alejandro 54, and Divine 84. So great week, everyone. Top 5 agencies: All Star 221, Achievers 249, Disruption 293, Silver Black Diamond 293, and Heritage 367, taking up that first spot again. Good job, Mike and Heritage team. Go next one, Sammy. All right, and here's our week 3 issue paid leaderboard. We're at just over 3,040 families helped for the month total. We'll do our top 10 to save time. Brian Allen 34, on H 35, Miranda 37, well, she Hall of Fame already, she's crushing it. Mahmood 38, Costi B 38, Brian H 42, Michael H 43, Jake Conan 60, Alejandro 63, and Juan Franco, who also just hit Hall of Fame. 93 families for the month so far. So that is crazy, Juan. Good job. Our top 10 agencies: the Alpha 257, Ascendancy Kurt Overy 299, Ryan Ficker at 395, Kyle Hastings 408, Neil Brown 435, Jake Conan 505, Wiley 696. Y'all better watch out. Wiley and company is moving up that leaderboard. Mike Schroeds 867, crushing it. Easton 1017, and Josh Rose 1044. Next one. That all we got. Perfect. All right. All right, Sebastian. So real quick, why don't you give everyone a quick background? How long you've been with us, and kind of how and why you decided to start working with Family First Life, and then what led to you going, I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to forego finishing college. I know I can make this work here. And then we're going to dive into some of the specific things you've done to see a lot of success right out of the gate.
Yeah, gotcha. So I would say about 2 years back, I was 18. Corona was kind of starting out, kind of hitting. I was still in high school though, and I ended up getting licensed. So I did have my license for a while. I never did anything like this, where we're actually going in homes, talking to people like that. all I did was dial, like accidental death benefits, stuff for an old company I was with. So basically, I would do that all day, and it's not like I was selling anything. It was people that already had coverage, and I would. That's why I would say like a big success, because dialing's 80% of this business. I'd say a big majority of the reason I'm successful is because of my dialing ability. And so I've had practice that last 2 years of me talking to people on the phone, all that great stuff, but it was nothing like it is here. So like 3 months back, or I should say 5 months back, I left my old company. Nobody would take me. Nobody would do anything over there. It was just a whole mess and a whole just mosh pit of just nothing good. So I kind of was 2 months of sitting around. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then I was kind of looking for stuff here, marketing stuff there, like me just sitting around, even though I was in college the whole time. It was just like screwing with me. And then I remember it was actually you that I got on the phone with, that you kind of explained it. I didn't really know much of what I was kind of getting myself into. It was a little bit different than I was used to. So then you got me going with it. And next thing you know, I just jumped in. So I did like every YouTube, every podcast video you could possibly even imagine, I watched. And so my first week, even I was telling this on a different podcast. I don't know who it was, but I was telling them that I was you and Wiley Hawkins on a YouTube video for basically my first day in the field by myself. It was like a 20-minute video or something like that about objections. And what I did was I watched that every, like for literally 8 hours straight while I was in the car to my appointments. I only had like 6 appointments or something. And I ended up helping like 3 families my first day. And after that first week, I realized this is my first week. It's only up from here. Right then and there, I dropped out of college, which sounds crazy. Like I only had like 2 weeks into it, but I literally thought to myself, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 100% and not let anything get my way. So I took my distractions that I did have, or I thought I would have out of my life, and I used that to kind of catapult myself into this business. And that's what I believe my success has been, due to me not dealing with the distractions or not letting people bring me down in that factor. So basically by just hopping into gathering information from every single person I can, my uplines, like Jeff Hudson, Ryan Ficker, I called them every single day, too much times a day, probably got annoying at one point. But basically with their help, watching YouTube videos, podcasts, I gathered so much information that I took little pieces from each person here and there. And I think that's what got my script going. That's what got my in-home presentation. And there's actually too much knowledge out there, to the point where I was trying stuff. I didn't like it, I got rid of it. If I liked it, I kept it. I didn't overcomplicate it. Like you're going in these homes, they don't know exactly the format of what you're going there, what you're going to say. So what I did was I just tried everything. And if it didn't work out, boom, I didn't get that sale. But the next one I tried something new and I did get that sale, I'd keep doing and doing and doing it until it became like a regular part of my schedule or a regular part of my routine. And that next thing you know, now after these 3 months, I'm doing almost 40 families a month, and I'm trying to keep building that up and up and up. But that's kind of background on it. So I dropped out of college 2 weeks into this. And if that tells you something of my mentality, then that's what you should take out of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny because it's similar to my story, and I started 22 and you started at 20. But I remember when I was getting started, I used to say this thing that I think actually I would change the way I phrase it now. I used to go like, hey, I'm just gonna fake it till I make it, right? And really, that's not quite right, because if you fake it till you make it, then you act like you have it all figured out and you don't know what's going on, and that's kind of a recipe for disaster. So really, it's more like act as if, right? But like you came in and just acted like you were supposed to be there, and people want to get so tied up in all the technicalities and this product, that product. And what the nice thing about what we do is it's so simple. They fill out a form for insurance. It's not, some crazy pitch where you have to know all the technicalities of like a software company or anything like that. They fill out a form for insurance, whether you're doing them in person or over Zoom like we're doing right now. As long as you're assertive and act like you're supposed to be there and have their best interest at heart, right? You have good structure in your appointment, and you're empathetic towards the client, and you're assertive. If you have those 3 things, it doesn't matter your sales aptitude necessarily. You just have to be a good person and be able to work hard, right? I think that's what you realized early on. And so I have a couple of questions I want to go into, but one thing I noticed is you always were willing to ask a lot of questions, which I did when I was getting started in this too. I never tried to figure any of that on my own. I didn't go and try to reinvent the wheel. I was like, hey, there's people already doing this. I could either, like, I had a good example of Mark Mead, right? He was like, I've been selling insurance for like 12 years when I started. And I was like, okay, so it could take me 12 years to get as good as him, or I could just steal all the information he already has and implement it and skip the lines, Exactly. And I think a lot of people, including people on this call, want to, go through it and have like that battle, like, hey, I figured it out on my own. I'm like, dude, I'd just rather make a lot of money and help a lot of people, So where I want to start with you is go over, first and foremost, what did your lead strategy look like? Because you didn't have a bunch of fancy leads to start. And
Yeah.
At the retreat we were just at, that's where we figured out how to get you some mailers and some lead flow like that going. So you were just using basically CRM and internet and leads that, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't like those leads. And you've helped 40 families a month on those. So talk about how many you're getting, what your lead strategy looks like, and even break down the small stuff that you're doing that people don't think of, as far as how far ahead you're buying them, how far ahead you're planning your schedule out, all of the things that allow you to have a successful full dial day.
No, but planning is 1,000% like a make or break you. If you're heading into a dial day and you don't have a set plan, you're just wasting your time. There's like really no reason for it. Same like, so I'll just go straight into my strategy. Like when you first start, you're not going to have crazy income coming in to get the buy per lead plans, because that's obviously like a goal that you should be trying to get out of one of those. When I first started, I wasn't like that. I didn't know what was good. I didn't know what was bad. All I knew is they were leads that people reached out to. So it changed the beginning, of course. I tried stuff here and there, but after a couple of weeks, it kind of clicked a little faster than I thought it would. What my strategy is, I'll look for 2 counties or 3 counties, or now I have this skill set to basically do 5 counties at once, because I can kind of rearrange my schedule like that. Let's just, for the sake of it, say like you're just starting out, I would find 2 counties that are right next to each other, 2 or 1 counties. And over a period of, I like to plan my stuff between two weeks in advance, because that also, like I've said this before, it forces yourself to be accountable to use those leads. Because if you've bought them, you're not going to waste your time, because some people get lazy, they'll write a couple policies, then they think they're on top of the world and they'll drop off for a little bit. And that's when you start getting the chargebacks and all that. I stopped that and all by actually buying my leads always 2 weeks in advance. So I can never give myself a break, if that makes sense. So I'll look at those 2 counties every morning, 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whenever I'm usually up. I'll look for those counties and I'll buy every single day, whether that be 10 mailers here, 10 mailers there, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, anything I can really get my hands on mailer wise. I'll buy every single day for a 2-week period. By the end of those 2 weeks, I'll have myself 100 to 150. Surprising right now, I did 5 counties this time. I got my hands on 200 of them within the last 2 weeks. And it's midday and I have over 23 appointments set for the next like 2 days. Like it's crazy to me. So what I do is those 2 counties I'll buy every single day, and I'll build up about 120 to 150. And then whenever call day comes, Monday or Thursday, that's what I usually run. I'll call through all of them in the morning. My 3 dials, you got to do 3 dials. I've been running to so many people not doing 3 dials. I'll do those all in the morning, and then I'll send a big mass text message in the afternoon or right at lunchtime when people are kind of on their phones, taking breaks, whatever the situation. That's going to pick me up a few as well. And then in the afternoon, I'm calling through all of them again. But this time it's not taking as long as the first time, because some people were door knocks, some people made appointments, some were bad numbers. And then at the next day, if I don't have enough appointments, I'll do a secondary text message saying, hey, I don't know if you saw my message, but this is the last chance we can get out to you. If not, someone's not coming. And by the end of that, usually by a 2-day run day, I'll have myself 18 to 20 appointments. That's always the minimum.
So you do the 3 dials in the beginning. What time did you start dialing at today? So because by 2 o'clock you're at 23, right?
I always do 8 in the morning. Always.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I heard 7:30 is probably a great time as well. It's just I ran into so many people for the areas I run. At least they just don't like that for some reason. Like 8:01, they're like the happiest person alive. They're like, oh great, 7:59. It's like, get out of here, get off my phone. I don't want you to talk to me. It's whatever. I don't get it. It's just how it worked for me personally. But I know a lot of people do 7:30. But it's no matter what, I have to be on at 7:59, ready to go, or else it'll just throw your day off and you'll feel horrible. And it's like a mindset thing too. I try to get 1 appointment every 20 minutes. That may sound like difficult to some people, but it's a mindset. So if I'm like sitting there, like I got from 8 o'clock to 8:20, I got to get an appointment here or I failed. Like it's weird. It's like you'll start dialing faster. You'll start picking up, doing your notes quicker. You're not just going to lollygag and send your phone, because you're sitting on your phone the whole day. You're going to go on Instagram. You're going to go this. You got to set that 1 every 20 minutes and maybe give yourself a 2-minute. I don't give myself a 2-minute break because I'm crazy like that. But like, if that's what you need to do to keep going and dialing for like 4 hours straight, then yeah, do that. But make sure you're getting your 1 every 20 minutes.
Got it. Yeah. And I think what you said is by buying leads in advance, like you're treating this like it's actually a business. I think the big struggle people have is like they don't want to overbuy leads. Like you want to overbuy leads because something I heard early on in business is like, especially if you're an independent contractor and you're a business for yourself, is you want to be a good employer to yourself and you want to be a good employee to yourself, as if you were working for yourself and as if you were the boss, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to get enough leads as the employee, and then you have to work hard enough and work on leads as if you're working well for the employer, right? And I think a lot of times people are, they wake up at 9 o'clock and like, that's a bad employee, and they wake up with no leads. They're like, well, I have a bad employer too, and we're losing from both ends, You
Yeah.
have to really treat it like, even if it's just you and you're just you selling insurance and there's nothing else to it, you have to be good on both sides to operate a real business, because that's what this is. And it's something that can generate multiple six figures or nothing, depending on how seriously you treat it, right?
Yeah.
Talk about ROI on leads for you. What's your total lead spend per week? And it usually nets you out, 10 to 15 applications minimally a week, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So usually I'll spend anywhere between, like I said, I'm trying to get my hands on 120 to 150 mailers per dial session. But those are again from the CRM. So those aren't the buy per leads. They're not that much. You'll find them between $5 to $9 basically. So I'll buy that and it'll run me anywhere between 800 to 12 to 1,200 basically, like 1,200. 800 to 1,200 is kind of the range I keep it at. But then now I'm doing the buy per leads. It'll get a little bit up there, but to make money, you have to spend it. Like I'm not scared at all. Like I said, I'm buying this in advance. I'll be paying like over 4,000 in leads before I'm even calling those leads. How scary that sounds. But that means that $4,000 is going to be on the back of my head, the back of my mind saying, okay, if you don't get up and start working or start calling those or getting ready to call those within those 2 weeks, you just screwed yourself. It's the only person you can blame is yourself. So that's what I keep it at that range, but I'll do it twice a week. So probably anywhere between like 2,500 the most a week, but I'll turn that into like 10, 15 applications, that is, or families helps basically. And I try to keep it as consistent as possible. I'm obviously trying to get those numbers up because you can always improve, but the rate of churn is pretty crazy for what you can do.
Yeah, dude. Well, so even if you're spending, 5,000 on the high end per month for you, and that's getting you 40, and even say 5 of them fall off, or say even 10 fall off, and you still go from 5 to 30, that's still 6x on your investment, right?
I'm not complaining for sure.
And that's in a month. And
Yeah.
so if you gave everyone on Wall Street the opportunity to do that, they would be like, how many times can I do that today, right? They would do it all day long. But I think, again, we shortchange ourselves a little bit, like, oh, well, maybe if we just do, 500 instead of the 1,200, like you're cutting yourself so short. And Sebastian, one thing that someone explained to me for a while is they're like, say you do half of what you did. Instead of doing 1,200, you do 600 on leads, right? And then instead of having 120 leads, you have 60. It's like whether you spent 1,200 or 600, one sale is going to cover your lead expense anyway. The commission from one sale will cover it, right? But you have twice as many shots to make a profit after that. So even if I've been doing this for 5 years and you just started and you gave me 120, or if you gave me 60 leads and you 150 leads, but you're going to smoke me all day long because you have twice as many shots at it, right? Or even on another stupid example, like say you're like, we both need to make 5 free throws, and you gave me 5 shots at it and you gave you 10 shots at it, you have a much better chance of making the 5 free throws than I do because I can't miss it all, And the odds in this, it actually is more risky to spend less on leads. I think a lot of people get it mixed up. They're like, I don't want to risk it. It's like, no, it's much more risky to spend less on leads because your margin for error is so much lower. And if you just put a little bit more into leads, and it doesn't have to be CRM or just get with your manager and invest the appropriate amount, then you're going to have the right return on it, and you have much less risk because whether you spend 600 or 1,000, one sale's covering your nut on the leads anyway, right? It doesn't really matter. And then you have twice as many chances to make a profit after that. So I love your mindset on leads because you're like, I'm not scared to spend the money. I'm scared to not have enough leads, which is really the way everyone should think about this thing, right?
Exactly.
Breakdown for me, like a couple of things we've talked about is breakdown for me the mentality of being an independent contractor so young. Because when I was getting started, everyone asked me that, or just being an independent contractor at all. Because it's for someone who's never had to own their own business, run their own business, it has pluses and minuses, right? The plus is you eat what you kill, which is great if you're good at going out and hunting, right? But the minus is you starve to death if you don't kill anything. So what is it like, what's the best way or the best tips you can give to people who are just getting started as independent contractors and, 100% commission based, it's all on you and it's all on your shoulders?
Well, the thing is, like I said, I'm going to take this straight from the videos I said from Ethan Patton. He talked about once that blew my mind. It was called condensing time. So right now I'm 20 years old. People right now think, oh, you have all the time in the world to get your life going, get all this going. It's all on your shoulders. It's all on your shoulders, which it is. I'm 100% independent contractor. That's what it is. But if I work as hard as I possibly can for these next couple of years and gain so much, just like if I'm sitting around and wasting my time, I could have done, I dropped out of college. I did that for a reason. I'm not going to sit around and just do nothing. What I did was basically force myself into this business. And now every single week I have to perform the best of my ability, or I don't want to fall back into a position where my skill set drops and I have to go back to a 9 to 5. I will never, ever, ever in my life, ever go back to a 9 to 5 job ever. I work for myself. I have the ability to make as much as I possibly want. Why wouldn't I use that time? I don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people's situations different and everything like that. And in this job, like I know people that'll write like 2 families here, 3 families there in a week and then leave and go on vacation, do all this stuff. You have the ability to basically print money. Like you're not actually printing money, but it's basically the ability to print money if you think about it. So if I put, instead of putting 10 hours here and getting 2 times my money, if I put 70+ hours a week, I've been trying to get a lot bigger on social media. I've been putting this everywhere. If I'm working a 70-hour work week like I would in a super hard, crazy, demanding job where I'm getting paid hourly, if I put that same work ethic but into a job where I have the ability to make unlimited money if I really think my mind or put my work ethic to it, it's just a no-brainer. That's just how my brain works. I'm sorry people don't understand that, but I'm working more because I know I can make more money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, there's a compounding effect by just being consistent, just doing it every day and doing it the best of your ability every single day, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's like, well, I can take this day off because I'm independent, but it's like the way I looked at it always was if I go one step further than what most people want to do, that 1% is reserved for the people that do most of the work that everyone else does not want to do, right? Fair? Like that's why it's called the 1%. So I'm like, if 99% of people are going to fall out at that, like I would just rather go that extra step so that I can be in that 1% because I want to be in the 1% of income and performers and all of the above. But in order to be there, you have to do the stuff that most people don't want to do, right? Yes. And if you can do that, that's where the reward lies, is where most people will go right up to it. Like, you've ever seen that dumb meme, or not dumb meme, but that meme of the guy like digging for gold and he's like right there and he quits? Like, I feel like most people get right there and then they're like, I'm gonna call it for a day. Like, they have 10 appointments, like you're almost there, get to 15 and you're gonna have a huge week. They're like, I'm gonna call it a day, you know? And I think I would just encourage everyone on this call to, instead of, stopping short, just push through and give yourself the benefit of the doubt and do what if it feels uncomfortable, Sebastian, and it feels like something you don't want to have to do, you should probably do it, because most people feel the same thing and they won't do it. But if you're the one that goes, you know what, I am going to do it, then that's where the extra money's made. That's where the generational wealth comes from, is doing the stuff that most people won't do. So real quick to wrap up with this, why don't you go through, what are you running, mostly mortgage protection or final expense as of right now?
As of right now, I would say it's like literally 90 to 95% final expense, just for the matter of fact, that's where I'm getting the most quantity. Or like I try as much as I can to get mortgage protection, because those are great. Don't get me wrong. They're just slowing down quite a bit. So I'm running straight final expense basically. And due to that, I can get done with these appointments within 30 minutes. That's why I can schedule them like every hour on the hour. It's a little quicker. They know why you're there. It's not like mortgage protection where you have to kind of build a little more value in it. And you also kind of have to explain a little more benefits that come with it. I just find final expense a lot easier to run personally, but that's due to me being able to run that for the last 3 months, 80% of the time. So if I did have mortgage, I probably would be running that, but I would say.
No, I like it, dude. I think final expense makes a lot of sense. And the skill set is applicable no matter whether you're running Facebook final expense, internet leads, direct mail final, they're all the same. The in-home's all the same. So why don't you, real quick, for everyone that's watching this, if someone's starting today, how do they set up their in-home, and run them through kind of the structure of your appointment, how it should look? And like you said, you're in and out of the house 30 minutes with an application. So, so we sit down at the table, what are you doing from right then and there, to move through and set up the appointment and then get to the application?
Yeah. So it's funny. So I'm smiling, like, nice to meet you. Here's Zach. It's great. But when I sit down, my smiles go away. We're talking about death and disability. So I'll just walk in that. So I look at him, I go, literally walk to him, I go, hey, Zach, dead face. I let you know I take my job very, very seriously. We're talking about death and disability. No one in their right mind likes to do that. I got to do it every day. And I do let you know I sit in about 20 homes a day, and I let everybody know this. I take it serious because we're talking about protecting your family when you no longer can. And I assume that's very important to you. Then I pull out the card or whatever it is. I go, when you filled this out, did someone pass recently, got you thinking about it? Or did you just think it was about time to start looking? They'll start giving me their whys. And then I go, okay, great. Have you ever done anything like this before? And they'll say, no, yeah. Then I go into it. These are going to be the top 15 state regulated companies. You probably heard a majority of them. You got Mutual of Omaha, Americo, and I'll go through the list. Everybody belongs in a different program based on your health, your age, and the amount of protection you actually want for your family. So my job is very simple. I got to go through all 15 of them, find the most ample amount of coverage for yourself, something that's going to fit the budget. But most importantly, I got to get you eligible. I can't even promise I can get you eligible. That's why we got to go through the application. And then after I walk them through that, the first question I always ask, I go through the financial inventory. I'll go, I'm very blunt, as you should be with something like that. Zach, you don't come home tomorrow. Who's taking care of everything? Then that's when I get their why. And I build it. Then I go, sometimes depending on the situation, I say this most of the time, I go, okay, Zach, I would say like 90% of the people I sit with a day. Like I said, I get to a lot of them. I assume you're just looking for the bare minimum coverage to cover burial, cremation, funeral expenses, a lot. And they go, yes, that's exactly what I'm here. I'm like, great. I tell them realistically, you don't need too much unless you're trying to leave money for your family, which I'm going to show you those options as well. Like I said, I play that by ear, depending on if they want that extra money, if they want to leave a legacy, or if they're just looking for bare minimum. I don't want to push them away. I find the sweet spot right in the middle. So kind of going through the financial inventory, we all know how that goes. I don't go crazy into the financial part. I just get the big ticket items, but I'll always go in depth with health, and I'll go into depth if they have previous insurance after I get their beneficiary. Now then, when I'm going through the actual itself and I'm showing the options, I go right before I explain all the benefits of it. We should all know those. Those are like the only thing that you need to know about the product itself is the benefits it gets them. But then before I show them any numbers, I go, I'm going to give you 3 options. Not that I recommend all 3 options. The third one is going to be the max amount of coverage they'll offer you. I don't always recommend that to individuals unless they're trying to leave a legacy for their family. The middle one, that's one that I make for them personally, because you're going to have to play it by ear. I tell them that's the one that's going to be customized for their family based on their health, age, other people in their area, their people that are in the same city, their health, everything. I literally tell them based on statistics, this is what most people go with. And then I sometimes, depending on the situation, I tell them that's not exactly, doesn't mean you have to. Then I'll show them a bare minimum option. So I'll keep the bare minimum anywhere between 40 to 50. The middle option, depending on income, of course, anywhere between 70 to 90. And the last one will be the high ticket, the one you'll get every once in a while, which is great, which is 100, a couple hundred, whatever the situation. And then I lay it down. I go, again, this does not matter to me either which way. It does not affect me or my family. I just got to get you approved, which is the hard part. Which one did you need to be approved for? What amount of protection do you want for your family? Boom, I have them say it. A lot. If they pick the middle one, sometimes I even say, are you absolutely sure? I really make sure that they're sure about it. And then if they're there, like, great, okay, let's run you through the application. Just like I told you before, I'm going to need those 3 things. I'm going to need a driver's license, obviously Social Security. This is going through the state regulated programs. I do need to see that. And obviously bank information. We have to make sure no fraud or anything is being committed here. Those 3 things will verify your identity and everything. I just need those 3 things. You go get those before I start. And then they'll go into them. And that's
all you got.
Cake from there. Then it's obviously cake from there. They're sold. Once in a while, even though I told them to get their social and all that crap, they'll say something, but then I'll just move past it saying, you realize that we need to make sure that you say who you say you are. How can we do that without that? You can't just get $50,000 for your family out of the blue, just out of a whim. That's not how that works. And that's not how we're going to do things. And then they sit back, they're like, oh yeah, okay. And they're good.
Right. I think too, what I noticed is when I was weird about it, when I asked them like, hey, Sebastian, can I get your social? Then people be weird about it, right? But I'm going through the app now. I'm like, all right, your birthday's this, your address this. Hey, dude, what's your social? Like, it's just very assertive, right? The same way a doctor or anyone else would ask for your social is how you need to ask for it. And if they go, why do you need it? Be like, how are they supposed to know who to pay this out to when you die, or that you're the actually the person that died? Like, I need your social, obviously. Mm-hmm. Bank account. Why do you need that? So that you can pay for it, sir. With all due respect, you have to pay for the policy and make sure that it gets paid every month, so that if you die, that it gets paid out to your daughter. So as long as you answer these things matter of factly, they're not going to have an issue with it. And Sebastian, I was thinking about 3 things this morning when we were kind of preparing for this call. I need to come up with an acronym because I haven't had one. But the 3 things I thought of was structure. So like you said, this is what we're going to do today. This is the structure of how the appointment's going to go. Very important, right? Because if you have structure, you have control. The second thing is empathy, which is where you're asking people, hey, if you die, if you don't come home today, what does this look like? You're not asking that because you're being a jerk. You're not asking that because you're a salesperson. You're asking that because you genuinely care about them and their situation, right? And I think, guys, that's what separates us from most other insurance agents. They go, hey, these are our companies we work with. Here's a flip book picture of my family. This isn't about us. It's about them. So you need to be empathetic and put yourself in their shoes and figure out what it looks like for them if something happens to them, right? And then the last thing is assertive. So, hey, here's the 3 options for you. Which one fits best for you and your family? Yes, we're doing one today. And as long as, so I would encourage everyone who's on this call to go back and look at and go, okay, like, do I have good structure? If I don't, let me fix it. Sebastian covered that. Am I being empathetic and asking about their situation and being curious about their situation? If I am, great. If not, maybe I need to ask more questions. And then assertive. And I think this is the most important one and the most lacking one. Am I being assertive? Am I telling the clients what to do? And understanding, hey, we're meeting with a lot of people who are 60, 70, 80 years old, have none or very little insurance. They are looking for someone to tell them what to do. respectfully, of course, hey, sir, with all due respect, you told me you need to put this in place. Now let's go ahead and pick an option that works for you today. But if you have those three things and you have a good schedule, it's really hard to lose doing this. So Sebastian, I appreciate your time. I like working with you. It's awesome to see someone so young, confident, and hungry, and you've been a blessing to our team, and looking forward to keep growing this business with you, my man. Thanks for getting on with us today.
Yeah, of course, anytime.